as usual, welcome everybody to JMCC Live on Fridays at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. As usual, I have my notes. I have some notes, and hopefully we can get through this in a good amount of time. I like to, excuse me, give a lot of information, so I want to make sure that you guys get this in chunks and chunks that are understandable, chunks that make sense to you. I think it does. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So I'm really this topic has been on my mind for a while. And I wasn't sure how to, not necessarily how to present it, but I wasn't sure I guess it's how and the manner to present it. Again, full transparency. There's so many different ways to go with this. And so I titled this Influence and Impact because I was really on the fence about doing one or the other or just having separate topics. But when earlier this week, I realized, you know what, this is really one thing. They go together. They definitely go together. Influence and impact. And as I wrote that down, it came to mind, people may think that, oh, you read the book and you're the book, what is it? How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. This is not that. And what I said, for full transparency, I've not read the book. I don't know if I want to read that book. Sometimes as creatives, we tend to put our blinders on so that it doesn't impact or influence and impact the way that we think, right? And the things that we've done. So what I decided to do is to provide you guys with information based on my experience, and not pretty much, all of the videos that I do, all of the posts that I put out there, all of the information that I give, all of the things in my master class and in C-suite, which I'm going to keep talking about that because I'm really excited. In C-suite that I give in with my clients, these are all things from experience and things that I've learned over the past 20 plus years by watching and doing and implementing certain things and lessons learned and doing, what's best practices, as we call it in project management, but what worked. And so I took what worked for other people and what worked for me, put that together, and here we are. So a lot of this information is specifically that, the things that work. And so you're looking for things that work. How do I strategize? How do I implement certain things? How do I do certain things to be where I want to be? We're looking for that. And a lot of people come to me with, the stories on, I tried this, it didn't work, or I'm in this position, it didn't work, or, these people, or whatever the story is, things are not working to the degree that we would like them to be. So in providing you this information, it's really about, what has helped me and my definition of success. And for me, my definition of success at that time, and even today, are looking at people who are where I want to be. So I still have goals, yes, I'm doing this. I love this. I still have goals to get to certain levels. I can't stay stagnant. I get bored very easily. So I look at what they do and what success looks like for me. And like I've said this many times, it's a very personal thing for you. What does success look like for you? Whether that's in your personal life or in your career, what does that look like? Hey guys, what does that look like for you? Right. And so what I've done is taken what has worked for me to help me to get to different levels of reaching my goals at different levels of success. And this is what I'm presenting. So today we are going to talk about influence and impact. Like I said, it is not about, the Dale Carnegie book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. My understanding, some of the things that I've read about the criticism of that book has been that it's very manipulative. Can we speak? It's very manipulative, or it skirts around that, or it's criticized for teaching you how to be fake. That's not what this is. So what this is to help you, like if you're trying to figure out, and it's going to be in the description after the video or around the video, but if you're trying to figure out why you're not making headway at work specifically, that's specifically what I'm talking about. If you feel like you're spinning your wheels, you're stuck in the mud, you're on a hamster wheel, why am I not making headway? Most times, not all the time, but most times it's because the influence that you think you have, you don't really have, or the impact that you think you have, you don't really have. So I want to jump in specifically to what that is and what that looks like, right? So this is about getting things done. And as a project manager and having that background, getting things done through other people that you don't directly manage, or who do not directly, are not your direct reports. I should say it that way. So getting things done through other people, influencing other people. How do you do that? So if you see me looking down, I'm looking at notes, my notes that I wrote. Okay, guys. So getting things done through other people with strategy. Everything that I talk about is with strategy. Why is that? Because successful people, and you're going to hear me use that term a lot, successful people are very deliberate and intentional, and they use strategy. So here are strategies on how to have impact and influence. And every week I tell you this, you have to sit with yourself and really be honest on what it is that you're doing, what it is that you're not doing. And sometimes you're not aware. This is me helping you to become aware. So now that you have the awareness, you taking stock, doing the assessment on where you are, you have the awareness. Now it's your responsibility to do something about it if you are not happy with where you are or what you've assessed for yourself, right? So if you want to move ahead, you have to do something. There are things to do. So let's dive into what that is. There are 3 specific things that I want to talk about today. How to be successful by doing how to be successful. Typically, you would watch what successful people are doing and you would mimic that, but do it in your way, but you would do those key things. How to have impact and how to have influence. So how to be successful, doing what successful people do, regardless if you are looking to land a job, you're looking for a new opportunity. What are people doing who are successful in getting a position? We tend to make up stories in our heads and make a lot of assumptions about they know this person or they had a leg up or what have you. Some of those things may be true, but typically they are doers, they are go-getters, they are people who think outside of the box and are doing certain things. So whether you're looking to land a job or getting a promotion or a bigger project or a big project, there are things that you need to do. And those 2 things are, you have to have influence and you have to have impact. And so if you're saying, Jackie, I don't manage a team, I'm not in a leadership role, how do I have influence and impact? Listen up. This is how you do it. So let's talk impact in particular. Impact, for me, there are 3 specific things. There are more, but I'm going to focus in on these 3 things. The first thing, I'm going to talk about each. I'm going to give you all 3, and then we're going to talk about each. So the first thing, and this should not be new for those who have been following me, the very first thing is that in order to have impact, the very first thing is that you need to be a problem solver. A problem solver. Number 2, a decision maker. And number 3 may come, as a surprise, but number 3, to have impact, major impact, you have to be of service. Okay? So let's go back to number 1. Being a problem solver. What does that mean? I talk about this all the time. And when I repeat it, it means it's important. I think everything that I say is important. These are all keys to success. However you define success, these are things that will help move you forward, right? So being a problem solver, let's say you are somebody out there looking for a new opportunity, a new position. You won't approach it. You should not approach it as, I'm in need of a new job. I want to get the hell out of where I am. I want a new job. I want a new job. You are repelling away from you. There's a lot of desperation behind that. once you become a problem solver, it's now here are the things that I can do to help solve your pain points. I am a problem solver. So having impact means to solve problems. So let's say you are in your position and you're looking to advance or move forward or get a bigger project, a more complex project, a more what's the word I'm looking for? I can't even think right now. But just a different project, a bigger project for you. How do you have impact? You have to be a problem solver. Folks who are in positions of leadership are looking for people who can help, who can solve problems, i.e., their problems, right? And so when you can be a problem solver, you will have an impact. If you are not a problem solver, you're not seen as somebody who can have impact. Meaning, if you can do something for them, everyone is really looking to see what can you do for me, or what have you done for me lately? So a lot of this is going to come back to that. Being a problem solver. You really have to be a problem solver. Another thing, number two, being a decision maker. I find a lot of times we ruminate on so much and we don't make decisions, whether it's for ourselves or it's for a project or something that we're doing at work. Our manager asks us to do something and we're trying to make a decision. We don't know here or there. We just go in circles. A lot of times you're not seeing progress because you're not a decision maker, or you're not good at making decisions. One of the reasons why we're not good at making decisions at work, we may not feel empowered to make those decisions. We're not sure of the decision that we really should be making, or we are looking at so many pros and cons that we are paralyzed in making a decision, thinking, oh my goodness, if I do this, then I can't do this, or what if I make a wrong decision? What do I do? Being a decision maker, really, and being a leader and having impact, you have to think quickly. But yes, you do pause to make sure that you have the right information to move forward with certain things, whatever decisions that you're making. But I think what we do a lot, and I've seen this a lot with women in particularly, let me take a step back. I work with professional women who are looking to advance in their careers, whether that means looking for a new opportunity or looking for advancement in the company that they're already in. And what I see often is that we make decision making into such a big deal, to the point that we're afraid to make a decision because we're afraid to make a mistake. It will most times go back to imposter syndrome. That manifests itself in so many different ways. Imposter syndrome can manifest itself in so many different ways, So being a really good decision maker, you have to understand what it is you're making decisions for. And there's a strategy behind that. But having impact really means that you can make a decision and now you can move forward, right? You're not stuck in that cycle of if this, then that, if this, then that, what if I make a mistake, and then what's going to happen? Also, with that, I do have to say there are variables within that, because sometimes you're in an environment where it doesn't necessarily give you space and the room to make errors. We're not perfect. Sometimes we'll make a decision that is not necessarily the best. But if we are fearful of the outcome or what have you, yes, Nikki Dennehy, so true. It's because she says, is it because we are so focused on keeping others happy? Absolutely. We're focused on, oh my goodness, here's another thing. I'm going to pick on us as women. Are they going to like me? Is this person going to like me? Is my boss going to like me if I do this? Let me keep them happy. We do it all the time. I see it all the time, so decision making, and I'm going to pick on leaders too. You have to create an environment where your people feel safe to make a mistake, to make decisions and to make decisions, right? And what are we giving our team members? What are we giving our direct reports? And this is to the leaders. What decisions are we giving them? Are we setting them up for failure, or are we supporting them in decision making? You know, do they have the tools necessary to make a decision? And then now look at ourselves as the decision maker. Ask yourself, do I have the tools necessary to make this decision? Do I have all of the information I need to make this decision? Do I need to enlist help to, think about certain aspects? Do I have the full picture? Right? So having impact, you want to be a decision maker and a problem solver. The last thing I had under impact is being of service. Do not get that confused with doing someone else's job or being the I have a client, and if I'm on speaker, you may want to take me off of speaker, but I have a client who says, or have said to me early in our coaching, that she was the company bitch. And I'm like, what does that mean? And the way she described it was, she was the person that did everything. That's not what I mean by being of service. Being of service, it doesn't mean doing other people's work. It's what are you good at, and how can you share that with other people who needs help, or need to be taught certain things, right? Or are looking for you to help them get ahead in, whether it's a project, get ahead in their careers, helping them with something. Because if you create a win-win situation, you're helping them, they help you, right? So being of service it goes both ways. And again, it's not about doing other people's jobs for them. It's looking at what you do well and how can you help the company, how can you help the department, how can you help your team, how can you help your manager with what you do well, right? And so that's what I mean by being of service. It's offering help, it's teaching, and what is it that you're good at? How does that help other people? That is being of service. So 3 things of having an impact. You want to be strong in decision making, you want to be strong in problem solving, and you want to be of service strategically. The last thing we want to talk about is influence. So the big thing that, we're trying to decide or trying to figure out, how do I have influence? A lot of times when we're stuck and we feel like we're spinning our wheels, we think this person needs to get out of the way, or my manager is not providing me this, or they have me pigeonholed into this. I'm only getting these types of projects. They're not providing me an opportunity. Once again, the way that I coach, the way that I mentor, the way that I teach, it is not about other people. It is about you taking ownership and taking responsibility for what you do and for what you don't do. So having influence, 3 things, major things with having influence. It is not manipulation. It is not, really, it's not manipulation. It really isn't. It's being strategic, and it's creating win-win solutions, win-win situations between you and other people. So having influence, like I said, we're going to go, I have 3 top things that will help you have influence that you need to be really good at. 1, so many people do not do this, but in order to have influence, and this is basic, and let's simplify it. You have to have connections, and you have to nurture those connections and nurture those relationships. So it's about relationships, having relationships with people and nurturing those relationships goes back to being of service, right? Influence and impact, they go together. They go so well together in order to help you move forward. And it's not about manipulation. Number 2, be an expert and a top performer. You cannot show up every day in such a way that, it's just, you're just like everyone else, or you are not doing your best. Granted, there may be days that it's like, I cannot be at a 10. Let's say it's a scale of 1 to 10. I do this a lot with my clients. On a scale of 1 to 10, where do you typically reside as your performance, and how you show up? If you're at an 8, that's amazing. If you're at a 9, that's amazing. If you're at a 10, which very rarely happens, but you can be, your 10 may be someone else's 5 or something, right? It's just in how, if you do above and beyond, right? And so it gives you room and allowance. If you on certain days kind of go down to, let's say, a 5, it may still very well be good, seen as good, right? And so where do you sit on that scale of 1 to 10 as far as performance? And you have to be honest with yourself. Am I a top performer? Am I doing things that sheds the light that I am an expert in my field? Do they consider me an expert in what I do? If not, you need to find out what it is that you're good at and be an expert in that. Every role in every organization, every role is important. And so being an expert in what you do, just by I have a twist on how I do certain things, and it yields results. It yields results for the department, for the company, for my manager, not in that order, but it yields results. I am an expert in this because it's repeatable. I can do this and I am gaining headway. Things are happening, things are moving. We're in a good routine. Things are moving along. Am I a top performer? Am I an expert? And it's not about bragging or anything like that. It's knowing your stuff. If I am good at these things, I can have influence. And I spoke about this, I want to say it was last week. I spoke about this last week. I believe it was the last one on and being an expert, being seen as an expert. I almost lost my train of thought, but networking is not necessarily, like I said, handing out your business cards and going to networking events. That's not networking in my world. Networking in my world is doing a damn good job in whatever it is you do and being of service to other people, because they're going to remember that. And you're building those relationships, and they're going to remember that, and they're going to remember you, right? And they can ultimately be an advocate for you. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back to last week's live. It's posted, JMCC Live. Having advocates, very important. And so being seen as an expert, being an expert, having expertise in your field is key in having influence. Okay? The last thing I want to talk about on influence, and this is key, we don't do this enough. We have to be, and I said this starting this conversation, we have to be strategic. Successful people are deliberate and intentional, and they are strategic. So here's what I mean. This, and I have to preface this by saying, this is not manipulation. So if you want to have influence, you want to get to a certain place, you want to do certain things, you can't go at it alone. You need to seek help from other people. And in order to do that, you want to seek out key decision makers who can help clear the path for you. For those of you who are on live, do you agree or disagree? 1, yes, agree. 2, no, disagree. Right? You want to map out the decision makers who are aligned with or related to your goals and the things that you want to achieve. And they don't have to be selfish things. It could be things for your manager, for your department, or for the organization. Who is aligned with that? Who can help clear the path for you? Who can you work with to get to where you want to go and get things done? People will say, well, you have an agenda. We all have an agenda. It could be negative or it could be positive, right? You have a positive agenda that will have an impact, keyword, impact, in your career, right? And so when you're in an organization, typically one of the first things that you do is really look at who are the key decision makers. And it's outside of your immediate, let's say your immediate department. You want to look across the board. Who are the key decision makers, and who are the people? Thanks, Nikki. Who are the people who can help you get to where you want to go by you being of service to them and you creating a win-win situation and solution for them. So you want to map that out, the key decision makers. And, like I said, it's not about manipulation, and it's not necessarily about having an agenda, but sometimes we put such a negative connotation on agenda. Look at the folks who are successful and doing things in your organization. Some of them are doing them positively, some of them are doing them not so great, right? And you want to look at the ones that are positive. And sometimes you want to look at what's negative, because you can take that and say, you know what? Excuse me, they did it this way, but I think it's best doing it this way. Or, how do I turn this around to work in a positive way where it's not seen as something negative. So we don't want to put a negative connotation on agenda, because it could be, having a positive impact. So you want to map out, and literally, project managers do what's called a RACI. You want to do something like that. You want to have a matrix of who are the key people, who are key decision makers, and then the people around them, and how do you get to them? I have this thing called the sphere of influence, or the cone of influence. You want to map that out. And as a PM and really good project managers, they do this. And how we do this is we're looking at stakeholders, people who influence the project positively and negatively. You want to do that with your agenda. Where are the impacts, positive and negative? Where are the decision makers? Who can derail and who can help? You need to know who those people are, and you need to act accordingly. So, influence. The 3 things with influence: connect and nurture key relationships. Be an expert, be seen as an expert and a top performer, and map out who the key decision makers are, right? Positively and negatively, you want to know both. You want to know who is going to help and who's going to hinder. And so having influence in that, you really, you do what I call going down the path of least resistance, not staying away from those people who are negative or who may hinder, but you may want to find out, what are some of the things that may be stopping them or having them think a certain way about whatever it is, the goals that you have, or the goals that were set for you or your department or your manager, whatever that thing is, where you want to go. How can they negatively impact that? And why would they negatively impact that? So you want to know both. You want to know those who will positively impact and those who will negatively impact. So I'm going to run through those one more time. How to have an impact. You want to be a problem solver. You want to be good at all 3 of these things. You want to be a problem solver, a decision maker, and you want to be of service. How to have influence. You want to connect and nurture key relationships. And it kind of goes with number 3, the key relationships with those who are decision makers, or what I would call stakeholders, if you will. Number 2, be an expert and top performer. And this is all under influence, and it kind of all goes together. And you want to map out the decision makers who would relate to your goals or, be aligned with them. So, like I said, it's all about strategy, because we typically want to know how to get where we want to go to quicker and with less struggle. So if you are spinning your wheels, I don't know what's happening here on Instagram. Hopefully you guys can see me. But if you are spinning your wheels, you feel like you're stuck, it really is about, where is my influence? Where is my impact? And you may very well not have as much as you think you have. So these are key things to help you get there, things that you can implement right away. And so what I want you to do is think about that. Am I doing any of these things? Right? because strategy is key. And what do successful people do? I say this every week. We are intentional, we are deliberate, and we have strategy. We have strategy. So, guys, I hope that was of value for you. If you take a look and do an assessment with where you are, where can you be better? You know, some of those things are about where can I be better. So intentionality is key. Taking responsibility is paramount, and finding routes to where you want to go is not always a straight line. So that's where that's where, you know, I was talking about mapping out decision makers. It doesn't always have to go through your manager. And no, I do have to put this out there. It's not about jumping over someone to get to, you know, to where you want to be or what you want. It's not about that. It's about having strategy, building relationships. And when you're building relationships and everyone knows about these relationships and it is cohesive, it's not about jumping over anyone else. It's about having influence and impact. So if you found these tips valuable, I would and want more support in how you can get ahead in your career, how you can level up, I invite you to join me in C-Suite Success Society. That is our new mentoring program, online mentoring program that I have, which is really a society, a community of women where we work with each other, and I literally am mentoring you. We have monthly mentoring sessions. Some people have me one-on-one, but it's great. We are working together to help each other, right? And it's me mentoring you, helping you to get to that next level. So whether you are looking for a new position, I help teach you how to do that with strategy. It is all about strategy. It's all about impact and influence. I'm teaching you all of the steps to do that, to get there, to land that job, and also to, if you're in a position and you want to level up, teaching and mentoring you on how to do that. So that's what we're doing. And then, so I'm supporting you in every phase of your career. So that is in C-Suite, and I'll have a link to that somewhere around this video. So check that out. Thank you guys for listening. If you enjoyed these tips and these it brought you value and things that you can do and implement, please join us in C-Suite, where we go even deeper with just literally laying out the roadmap and the steps on how to do that for you in your particular situation. So guys, have a great rest of your Friday. Thank you for joining. Thanks, everybody.